Let's say you're a handheld gamer who loves baseball. You want some nice baseball on the go, so what are your options? You think, alright, MLB The Show is a pretty popular baseball franchise on PlayStation. You pull out your PlayStation Vita, you go to the PlayStation Store, you start searching and find not really anything. Even MLB 15 The Show, the most recent Vita release which I reviewed on this channel, it's not on the PlayStation Network anymore. So where does that leave you? You could go 1 year back for the retail PlayStation Vita release of MLB 14 The Show, which has long since had its online services disabled. As far as recent baseball games are concerned, you only have one option. That is the Nintendo Switch. The Switch got the newest version of the RBI baseball franchise earlier this year, which is actually a franchise that started on the NES way back in 1988, the year that I was born. So let's dive into it, see how this port is, and see if you baseball fans will enjoy it. Here is my review of the Nintendo Switch version of RBI Baseball 2017. As far as gameplay goes, RBI Baseball 17 is an arcade-style baseball game. You'll go into games, play through as the batter or the pitcher, just having a very semi-casual baseball experience. And the first thing we need to look at here is the number of game modes. When you go into the main menu, you've got 3 game modes to choose from. You've got Exhibition Match, you got Season, and you got Postseason. But we really need to take a look at these game modes because these 3 game modes are really only 2 game modes. Exhibition lets you set up a single game however you want it with the teams and everything. Season and Postseason both allow you to go through seasons of either 25 or 16 games. The difference is that Season and Postseason aren't really different at all. All of the menus are the same, the way you play out the games are the same, everything about the game modes are exactly the same. So you really only have 2 game modes, Exhibition and Season. And these 2 to 3 game modes really ties into my biggest problem with this game, the lack of features and extra game modes. The last handheld baseball game I reviewed was MLB 15 The Show for the PlayStation Vita, which was, 2-3 years ago? MLB had all of these types of features, plus character customization, home run derby, online features to let you replay and try to change the events of the current season. It just feels so much more expansive than this, and it makes it even worse with the fact that the Vita version of MLB 15 was incredibly stripped down compared to its PS4 counterpart. Now, game modes aside, when you go into a game, it's pretty straightforward, and the gameplay is pretty good. You've got your typical learning curve for baseball games. You go between the roles of the batter and the pitcher, and really, once you get into the gameplay, it really starts to get fun. And when you get tired of doing your 25 or 16 game seasons, you think, alright, console's got a multiplayer update in March 2017, so let's just jump into online multiplayer. Except that patch isn't in the Switch version of the game. PS4, Xbox, and all the other console versions got an online multiplayer patch back in March 2017, which is strangely missing from the Nintendo Switch version of the game. You've got local couch multiplayer where you can play against your friend that's sitting next to you in the room, but there's no online multiplayer. Now, length is really hard to gauge in these types of games, but sports game, it doesn't have a storyline, but let's talk about a typical season. You go into season or postseason, you go through the typical 25 games. How long is that going to take you? Given how long it takes me, a single inning normally takes me about 5 to 10 minutes, depending on skill. So we multiply that by 9, running a single game around 45 to 90 minutes, 25 games for one season, meaning that a single season will likely take you at least 18 to 20 hours. Now that's quite a bit of time for a single season, and really the only thing you can really do in the game. So I wouldn't really say this game has a lack of length to it, more a lack of game modes and features. Now with presentation, this is difficult. The graphics in the game are very smooth. All of the character models have pretty much perfect renders, no jagged edges anywhere. But in sports games, detail is a key thing. While all of the renders do look pretty flawless on the outside with jaggies around their edges, the character models don't really have much detail to them at all. Facial features, even the uniforms are just plain whatever color the team is, and You don't really see any detail in the uniform itself. And the reason I pull this up is if you look back at PlayStation Vita games like Madden NFL 13 or MLB The Show 15, there's a lot more detail on a weaker handheld. Now the rest about presentation, if you're talking about performance, I have no complaints. Load times are short, frame rate is constantly steady, really, it's optimized in that way. Now let's talk about battery life. One nice thing about the game's lack of multiplayer means that you don't have to use Wi-Fi. So if you want to extend the battery as long as possible, you can keep it in airplane mode the entire time. Here are my times from 100% to 0%. Maximum brightness of the Wi-Fi on, 2 hours and 46 minutes. Maximum brightness of the Wi-Fi off, 2 hours and 54 minutes. Lower brightness of the Wi-Fi on, 3 hours and 24 minutes. Lower brightness of the Wi-Fi off, 3 hours and 38 minutes. So you're getting about 2 3/4 to 3.5 hours out of this game. And like I just said, there's no online multiplayer, so you can keep it in airplane mode for those extra minutes. Now in conclusion, RBI Baseball 2017 is definitely a flawed game for really anyone but newcomers to the entire baseball genre. Although its gameplay is solid, it has a lack of game modes, the graphics aren't nearly as detailed as they should be, and the online multiplayer from the other versions didn't come with the Switch version, despite it being released much later than that patch. Now, as the only recent baseball game on handhelds right now, it's not a bad time waster, but it's not a great one either. Reviews to Go rates RBI Baseball 17 a 7 out of 10. If you have any comments or questions, feel free to leave them below or head to the website at www.reviewstogo.com.